some person who can tell you about what it is to be a real man is a man with experience.
For sure.
It is.
That's it.
But you got to do some things in order to say that you can understand. You know, you just can't read a book.
Nope.
And think that you can tell somebody else's story.
Right. Exactly.
Damn, that's real.
Yes.
Yeah. Damn, that's real. I like that.
Championship, games.
Perfect, rolling. We live, baby. You know what's going on. It's Will's the cameraman. It's Randall in the building. We back at the Unpopular podcast. Today we in the kitchen.
You about to cook some shit
I'm about
up.
to cook some shit up or whatever. Trying to, concise my schedule, but it's alright. We about to get it in.
We're really about to start like
do.
recording, like just doing things like throughout the day and shit.
We just gotta
be doing stuff like that.
We
like
gotta be
driving
doing
in the
all
car.
types of shit. Where's the bar?
Yeah, just like doing our daily lives and just recording the shit.
Yeah, a little bit of everything.
But yeah,
I'm trying to figure out a place because I don't have clips no more. The clips on my mic's broke, so we gotta hold them or whatever. So I'm trying to figure out a place to put my junk so I can cook.
well, realistically, we can just tape it though.
Yeah.
Like, do you have duct tape? You can like tape it on your chest and shit. You ever thought about that?
Low key, I think I might got some duct tape down here. Yeah.
It's been a long last couple of weeks and shit.
Yeah, it's we're in December now.
Yeah, it's cold as hell.
Cold in the month.
Yo, Davian, tell me, am I crazy, Davian? Is your shower water ever cold or run cold the last couple
Shower
of days?
water been cold as hell.
Yeah,
baby.
I'm not crazy, right?
It's not been.
It's been happening to me too.
It's not been warming up all the way.
For some reason,
we gotta tilt it a little bit more towards the warm lately.
No,
for
not even that, Davian. It just I be turning it all the way, and it's still cold. This morning I took a cold shower because the water wouldn't turn hot.
Hey man.
For some stupid reason. So alright, cool. It's not
just like that. No, it ain't just you. Sometimes it's like that. Where's the
I thought it was just me, just my family get poor again, because we didn't have hot water like that back then.
It happens like that sometimes.
Because and
your parents probably the pipes can be frozen sometimes, but your parents probably know how it go. Being not from this country, you know how it goes. Not showering with warm water. And shit like that.
Well, my dad does to some degree because in Costa Rica they don't.
You gotta heat the water up if you want it warm.
Well, I mean they don't have a real means of doing that.
You gotta boil it,
and then pour it on you.
No, just sparingly.
What is that like?
I'm not trying to scald your skin, but you have to boil the water if you want it warm.
But how do you shower with that water? You just pour it on you?
No, you either don't let it warm up all the way, or you let it cool before you put it back on your body.
David, I'm referring to literally so you take a bucket of that warm water, just dump it on your fucking head.
Pot. You take a pot of boiling. You take a pot of the water, whatever, and you boil it so it can get warm. And either you don't boil it so that it's scalding for your skin, or you let it cool after it's boiled or whatever, and then you probably ladle it onto yourself. You probably get a smaller box.
You ladle it to yourself? What am I? A fucking steak? You ladle?
Yeah, what do you call it?
You baste the shit?
Yeah, you baste yourself.
What am I, a piece of meat?
Yeah.
I mean, technically I am, but technically we are pieces of meat, but what am I? You don't think like that?
But nah, that's how you would do it. I mean, how you gonna get I'm not, obviously you have to wash yourself properly. So one big ass take the bucket and dump it on my head isn't really gonna be an efficient way of rinsing myself.
I saw a video one time of somebody taking water and putting it in a plastic bag, and they would actually poke holes underneath it, and that's how they would shower.
Interesting. That's actually I've seen some
African
stuff like that.
Some African dude did it.
I've seen some stuff like that. People take some type of balloon or a bottle or whatever, and it'll have the holes on the bottom, and they'll use it to wash their hands, or to keep water for washing their hands and stuff like that.
That's smart though.
That is smart. Yeah.
And it's usually in third world countries where they don't have running water over there.
Very smart. Today I am making I'm making dinner for me and my girl. I didn't tell her what I was making, but I can tell you guys, and she'll eventually watch it in the next video if she watches this. Today I'm making a chili. I'm making in kind of an Asian flavored chili. It's gonna sit on top of some jasmine rice.
Make sure you put some what's that other flavor? Make sure you put some umami in there, please.
I don't have umami per se. I don't have anything to get me there. I do have
You don't have like you don't have like a. No, like you don't literally need like umami. Like there's other things that have umami flavor in it.
Oh well, I have this sauce here. Pardon me, chat. I didn't mean to throw this at you. I got this this Korean style Yangi Yamen sauce from Trader Joe's. This has umami flavor in it.
Yeah, so use that. Yeah,
I will be
like,
using this.
You can use like apparently you can use like aged cheese or like soy sauce or miso. Make sure you put soy sauce.
I thought about that. Yeah, I do have soy sauce put in there. I do have some ginger flavor. I do have some chili oil. I do have some wasabi powder that I want to use in there.
You can even put like nutritional yeast in there if you have that, or Worcestershire sauce or some shit like that.
Yes. I will definitely be getting there. Microphone is in a good spot right now, so let's everything up.
So like
my
that's
surface light.
Yeah.
I want to start by trying to simmer some of these plant meats in there so they can start with the flavors. Maybe these vegetables in there as well.
But yo, Divvy, you know something crazy that like I was thinking about the last couple of weeks. It's been like pissing me off a little bit. And this goes back to the subject we were talking about a long time ago. But I want to air it out completely because it's driving me nuts. How people just have their heads up their asses or even in the sand like a bunch of fucking ostriches or whatever the fuck. Divvy, I want to really talk about, for example, like the controversy surrounding body counts.
Okay.
I want to talk about that today for a second.
Sure.
And I want to talk about like the
If
roots
there's
of it.
something that I would like to talk about today, it might be like consistency. Consistency, yeah.
Okay.
But let's go on yours first.
So one of the things about it that really drives me nuts is that like I don't like the double standard in general, and it's crazy for me like as a guy to say I don't like it because that goes against like the conventional wisdom of like the online rectal space and shit.
This is Gia. Gia is the dog.
Gia is a giant like
Gia is half pit,
Labrador.
half black lab. She is old. She is like 6 feet. Never had Gia in the videos, but Gia is in the video today. Gia, say hi.
You drinking water? You don't care.
But that's Gia. Continue, Ray.
But so like one of the things about it is that like David, I've come to a point where like people have always asked me like, well, I'll get in a conversation with a bunch of different dudes, and they'll ask me about like, Randall, do you care about body count? Do you care about like, how many guys and women has maybe been with in the past? And I'm at a point, Davian, in my life, and I'm more recently because I just lost my virginity a few years ago. At this point, Davian, I don't really care.
No,
and I'm not really even that concerned about it in comparison to other guys.
Think about it like this, from like a very dumb standpoint of like kids trying to lose their virginity or something like that.
Right.
Think about being somebody, whether you're a guy or a girl, who doesn't know what they're doing. You have no experience whatsoever. And you engage with somebody else who also has no experience or whatever. Why would either one of you go into this experience thinking that the other person knows what they're doing?
Right. Down the field. And I mean, like, that's also one of the things about it too, Davian, is that like you can also like, I mean, it's common sense to kind of say like, pornography is like partly to blame on this too, because like kids are learning about it without even actually experiencing it first, or they're seeing it, or not learning about it because you don't really learn, sex through porn, but it's more of like they're seeing it before they're even doing it, right? Mm-hmm. And that absolutely can play a factor in like your perception of like what it's supposed to look like.
100%. Mm-hmm.
Because it distorts it. People don't realize that like those people are actors and like what they're doing when it comes to like
those people are paid professionals.
Yeah, like
I'll call them that.
All those different positions and like how they're moving and like how aggressive they're being with each other and shit like that. Like all that's an act for the most part. Like they're not really doing it like that isn't really how they actually like hook up with each other.
And everybody on this planet is different.
Yeah.
So there's no one way for things to be done, and there's no real like
universal standard.
There's no universal standard, so it's not a lot of room for somebody to be telling you you're doing something wrong.
Now here's the thing, David. Going back to the whole body count issue, like, so guys would like look at me like I'm crazy and be very repulsed or even disgusted at like the idea that like I'm not bothered by like a woman's like past, right? For the most part. But then the thing I've always had a question with them was like, well, why are you so concerned about it? And most of them will say things like, well, it's because it's disgusting or whatever. So let's go on top of them saying that it's disgusting. Well, when you say that,
you wouldn't want say you didn't have any experience and you were being intimate with somebody who had plenty of experience. Would you want to be judged by your lack of experience going into that act?
Not really.
I don't think women would want that same type of thing either.
Right.
You know, regardless of whether they have experience or not. So it's like shaming somebody on their lack thereof or more experience doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't really benefit anybody anyway.
It doesn't benefit anybody.
So the thing that they were saying about like, so like for example, they feel disgusted by it. Well, I would make the argument, well, for number one, I want to know where does that sense of disgust come from? And they said like, oh, because she might have a disease. Well, I mean, we have technology nowadays that allows people to know whether or not they actually have
making that assumption before engaging with somebody is not okay. You know, and if you choose to want to know more about that person, you know, so that you can have the answer to that question, then just ask.
Right. And that's where like it doesn't make any sense because like if you think about it for the most part, like I made this.
Because otherwise we're just sitting on our stigmatisms.
Yeah. Because I actually made this argument one time before too, where I actually said that you know, for example, if a woman, for example, has like a past, for example, but let's say, for example, with modern technology, she's used condoms or even birth control pills, or she's even like, for example, been tested and she never came up positive or anything like that. Technically, that disgust feeling that you have coming from like those different things should be obsolete because technology has eradicated those different things. Because
you've gotten a answer. You've gotten a scientific answer to your plight.
Right.
Now what?
You just don't know. You're still going to judge based off like what you feel.
Exactly.
Which also, by the way, is a prime example of how guys still use their emotions to judge what people are doing, even though they claim to only use logic and facts, which drives me nuts. Because like, David, human beings in general are almost entirely
emotional creatures.
We're not logical computers at all. Like,
no, if we were logical computers,
the world would be a lot different. The world would be substantially different if we were not purely. If we were purely,
there would be zero. I'll tell you, should I get? There'd be zero tolerance for y'all bullshit. Zero. Absolutely zero. If everything was based off of logic and you had to be serious stuff, zero tolerance for any of it. I don't want to hear not a crybaby, nothing.
For your bullshit, like who cares?
Word is born.
Like crying about like how you feel about a man like working so hard but not being appreciated. Like who cares about that? Because at the end of the day, it's your way of doing is logical. Who cares how you feel about how much work you're taking or how much responsibility you're taking?
No, and for men too. Word is born.
Right. And so like, and then going back to the whole body count conversation again, like one of the things that like I didn't talk about on another podcast, but I'll say it more clearly.
All that. Nigga, stop being a bitch and come on. All that be a man shit. That shit would be for real. That shit would be for real.
So I remember you and I talked about this to some degree in like minor ways, but I want to talk about the other thing that somebody said to me a while back ago that goes back to the whole like, you know, men feeling disgusted with body count, right? So one of my boys, actually one of our mutual friends, he actually was telling me a time where he was hooking up with a chick, right? She was older than him, whatever it was, I think by like maybe 10 years or something like that. And, you know, they were getting close, they were getting busy, you know, a little bit, you know, filling each other up, you know, becoming a little intimate, and they started kissing, right? This nigga looked me in the face and said, like, Randall, I don't know why, Randall, but when I was kissing her for some reason, I couldn't stop thinking about how many dicks had been in her mouth.
It's gross. And were you trying to ruin your own time? What if that girl never had a dick in her mouth at all?
And you just decided to think that way?
Decided to think that way.
You know what I mean? Because I know girls get head, so... I mean, I don't know any ones that don't, but but like
this is why everybody's so down. Sorry, this is why everybody's so down bad. This is why we keep. I'm gonna go back to mine. This is why we keep This is why we keep looking at pictures on the internet and thinking it's something else. Word is born when it ain't that, because our minds are in the freaking gutter all the damn time.
Right, we're always thinking dirty and shit like that.
Always thinking dirty.
But
Get your mind at the gutter.
And that's where
go read a book.
But that's
go to church.
But that's where I asked him the question where I'm like, dude, like, let me ask you a question. What are you gaining from thinking like that? And what are you gaining by allowing your brain to go into that headspace? You know what I'm saying? And he didn't have an answer for me. And I'm like, this is why guys today are so angry at women, because like they're only constantly
because you're doing this shit to yourself.
But they're also only constantly viewing them in a sexual manner. They're not really seeing their humanity as a you know, they're not seeing their humanity. Period. You're just seeing them as some kind of a sex object. And if they've done whatever sexual thing with other people, you just feel some kind of way about it in general. But then that also goes into the conversation about like male insecurity about women's body count, because it's more of a comparison competition. Because let's say, for example, a woman has a body count of like 6 or 7 dudes, right? And you're the 8th guy, right? You are realistically, almost instinctively as a guy, for some odd reason, maybe it's just in the West, I don't know if it is, I don't know how it is in other parts of the world, you're almost automatically going to put yourself somewhere on in that list of guys where you're going to be ranking them from like 1 to 8, and you're going to try to figure out whether or not you're the number 1 out of those 8 or you're number 8 out of those 8.
Yeah, that's another bad thing. Stop living in competition with other people. Stop living in competition with other people. Word is born. Because it's always going to be it's always going to be somebody who's doing worse than you. It's always going to be somebody who's doing better than you. As long as you keep living in this competition with other people, you ain't never going to win.
Well, make sure you dress
That's real.
for the winner.
But yeah, like, and that's part of the problem. And the funny thing is, David, is that like it is male insecurity, but guys nowadays don't want to admit that. They don't want to admit that like they're a little bit cautious or a little bit insecure about like a woman with a past and worrying about whether or not he's going to actually perform well. Because the reality of it is, for men, sex is really a performance act. Because, you know, if we can't, you know, get our shit right, you know, we actually, nothing's going to happen. You know, that's the difference between us and them. You know what I mean? Right. If a man can't perform, like it's gonna be a rough night for both of us. Mm-hmm. Versus a woman, that's not really a thing for them.
You know, but hold on, I almost got that thought. It just has to do with male insecurity type of thing. It's like we've been weaponizing these words like male insecurity or you know, toxic masculinity. It's like men, I feel like, are really struggling to find, you know, themselves and not trying to, you know, feel like they're under this umbrella term that doesn't necessarily encapsulate entirely who they are.
Who they are as people.
Yeah.
But also, Davey, like on a random side note, because I'm going to go back to this different subject, that actually goes into something that I wrote down in my notebook a long time ago, that like people have been so blinded to the phrase real man and just how weaponized it's actually been and how often it's used against us by both genders to make us do certain things that we may not want to do. How often, that's also why I said in my book as well, that every man at some point in their life is going to hear the phrase real man used against them in a way to either encourage them to behave a certain way or as a way to try to emasculate them for not doing something or not agreeing what it is. I've literally been in situations where I've been told that like, you're not a real man if you don't believe in Jesus. You're not a real man if you don't, you know, make this much money. You're not a real man if you can't bench 225. You're not a real man if you don't you know, real men do this, they do that. Real men, you know, support this and support that.
How many of these examples of what a real man is supposed to be have been described to you by women?
Exactly. It actually quite often actually, shockingly enough.
Quite often it's more so women telling you what a real man is supposed to be doing.
But then the other thing about that too, and it points out the hypocrisy, is that we don't have the same exact conversation about women. Like the
only one who can tell you what a real man is supposed to be doing.
I'm smelling sauerkraut.
No.
Oh.
No, but it's getting there. But only person who can tell you about what it is to be a real man is a man with experience.
For sure.
Dead ass.
That's it.
But you got to do some things in order to say that you can understand. You know, you just can't read. Just can't read a book.
Nope.
And think that you can tell somebody else's story.
Right.
Damn, that's real.
Yeah.
Damn, that's real. I like that. But and that's so crazy because like the funny thing is that like the reverse is not spoken about. Like imagine some dude on the news saying like, oh, this is what a real woman does. Imagine the backlash.
Yes, exactly.
They'll be put under the bus if that happens.
Exactly.
You can't even attempt to say shit like that. But it is what it is. You feel me? It's some bullshit, but it is what it is though. But going back to what I was saying before about like the whole like body count thing for the most part, it's like going back to male insecurity and like, feeling disgusted by it. What's the third thing that I think men feel some kind of way about it and why men feel negatively about it? It goes back to this problem of like, again, like you said, the competition thing where, Davian, like, I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but like, someone told me that like, if he, for example, had ever hooked up with like, if I had a girlfriend and let's say like a guy that I knew hooked up with her in the past, or a guy, let's say for example, like her ex, you know, saw us at the mall or at the restaurant or wherever it is, and he like, you know, walked past you, you know, giving you that quote unquote side eye, and that indirectly says like, yo, bro, like, you know, I fucked your bitch like a couple of years ago, you know, kind of like that, you know, dominating sort of like ownership mentality, like, you know, I had your bitch on all fours, you know, while you're kissing her, like, you know, like knowing that my dick's been in
those
her mouth.
are and I can understand stuff like that, and it's like none of that gives you any dominion over anybody.
You don't think it does?
No, not at all.
So Davian, like, but that's where the question is.
And if you think that it does, that's just your emotions talking.
And you're being emotional.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. But then the crazy thing about it, Davian, is that like, who has more credibility in that situation? Because
by that logic, there's nothing stopping me from doing that same act to any other person that he might favor in that certain way, you know, and now I have that power over him.
Right.
You know,
it's a never ending competition.
And it's going to be a never-ending competition. Like I said, you're never going to win when you're sitting here competing with people all of your life. It's like there's no end to it. If bro sits here and he's like, bro, I F your girl. Okay, tomorrow I might F his mom. Now what? Now what we gonna do?
Yo, speaking of which, Davian, that actually reminds me of back in my job, we actually had a guy that actually did that. We actually had a guy that actually did that with his best friend's mom. Mm-hmm. I actually remember him telling me that.
People's moms.
We were sitting in the server station with the actual GM at the time that was working at the time, and it was
Randall. Can you give me a cup with some? Go in the cabinet. Just grab a cup. Give me some water.
And so. The manager at the time that was when she was working there, it was a woman, right? And you know, she was she asked him exactly like, you know, what's the craziest thing you've ever done? You know, just to dare him to say it. And he dead ass straight to her face said, oh, you know, a couple of years ago I hooked up with my friend's mom. It's like, and her jaw dropped and she started crying, laughing for some reason. Or whatever it was, but I was like, "What the hell? Like that's actually happened."
It's actually wild. Yes, people do that. Where the money?
And the dude, and here's the even more disturbing thing about this dude. The dude was like 20, was 20 at the time. He was 20, and the woman was apparently like 46 or some shit like that. It's like,
look, age ain't never changed nothing before, Randall. Don't be scared by the numbers now.
Like, God, well, David, you know that, David, because you know you've probably been with girls that work with me.
That's what I'm saying. The number ain't changed shit. Where the bond? That lady just wanted. That lady didn't matter how old she was. She wanted some D.
Dave, why you gotta say it like that, man? Just say dick. You know PC shit over here.
Listen, I understand that, but we still gotta put it up online, and I'm not bleeping stuff out yet.
Right, but there's people say stuff like that online all the time, so it doesn't matter.
Alright, well. That's what that lady wanted. And it wasn't going to stop her from getting it just because it was her son's friend.
Right.
First it starts with the thought.
Yep. That's right. Mm-hmm.
Exactly, it starts with the thought all the time.
After the thought, there's the act.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's right.
Exactly. First is the thought, then is the action.
Then it's the act.
But
then you're moving and you're working it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what was I gonna say then? So one of the things that I think about in that subject where one of my coworkers even asked me about that subject, for example, like, oh, would you date a woman that's, you know, has OnlyFans, or a woman that's been like an adult actress? Mm-hmm. And truth be told, Davian, like, again, maybe it's just I'm a little more sexually positive. I don't really care.
Listen,
and I'm not the kind of person that judges like that.
I saw a study that said
You wait too long to grow.
I saw something that said 1 in 10 girls between the age of 18 and 24 has an OnlyFans.
Yeah, that's actually true. Yeah, that actually is true. But not all of them.
Issue is
all of them are like posting like wow stuff. Sometimes some of them are doing like feet pics.
My issue is not for judging people on the things that they do. You know, you will come back to look at the things you have done in this life, and whether you have your own regrets on that, it's up to you. Completely up to you. Feel me? I think about how I want to contribute to my positive footprint on this earth before I leave.
You see, Davian, like that's where I'm gonna like argue with you a little bit, because like now we're getting into a conversation about like what is or what's considered respectable depending on the culture you grow up in.
No, I'm not saying respect. I'm just talking about positive. So it's like is what you're doing helping somebody or contributing to something?
Well, what's the real difference between helping someone and contributing? It's the same thing. It's the same.
No,
word,
absolutely. Is what you're doing helping somebody or contributing to some type of positive cause? That's what I'm asking.
But what determines that positive cause? David, so we can bring this.
Is it helping somebody? Is what you're doing causing negative effects for people?
Well, David, that's a double-edged sword, David, because we can go into a conversation about, like, for example, people who, like, you know, liquor companies who sell alcohol are selling people a temporary pleasure, but long-term it's detrimental. So they're contributing. So the idea of it being objectively positive and just completely positive is something you can't even accomplish, because everything has a cost to it. Driving a car, you're blowing out toxic fumes, and you're also risking yourself dying behind the wheel, you know, when you get into a car. You know, dispensaries that sell weed, Davian, that we smoke, for the most part, yeah, like, you're getting some kind of benefit from it, but at the same time, you're smoking a burned plant, and you're putting carcinogens in your lungs.
Okay, so are we just saying that OnlyFans models aren't doing as bad as other people are doing, so we should leave them alone?
Well, technically,
is that what you're saying to me?
To some degree, yeah, Davian.
Is that what you're saying to me? They're not doing nearly as bad as these other people are doing, so we should just leave them alone.
Davian, actually, kind of, yeah, like. Actually, yes.
Okay, so what I'm going to tell you is that they're contributing to this. They're contributing to a lifestyle that they already know isn't regulated and safe.
Yeah, for the most part.
And you are portraying it and showing it off like it's a luxury lifestyle that people should be seeking out for themselves, knowing that the industry of which you partake in still isn't regulated and safe.
Well, it's not as regulated as it needs to be.
Well,
there's regulations, obviously,
sure,
but it's not regulated the way that it needs to be.
Sure, but when people are promoting themselves or promoting what they do to other people, they aren't talking about these parts.
Right.
They aren't making these parts known, which puts people in a sense of in a place of danger.
Well,
a place of being unsafe because you don't know the whole story.
But again, that's also true of other industries. How many industries do you know don't reveal the negative sides of their industry?
You're absolutely right, but at least they can put a warning on the package.
What?
At least they can put a warning on the package.
Some of them don't, Davian. Some of these industries don't actually point out what they're doing wrong.
At least you can put a warning on your package, or at least you can put some type of limit on who's coming into contact with your said product.
And that
you have to be a certain age to buy alcohol or tobacco or weed or whatever.
Again, not
sure. There's
not an honest comparison, Davian, because there are people who can see. Because number one, Davian, just because a person can buy it or has to be of a certain age, Davian, doesn't mean that they should. And number one, Davian, once you buy it, it's in the house, and then knowing that other kids can actually get access to it. So
okay,
I'm not
saying that it's not the parents' job to be as smart as the store is when it comes to protecting your children from stuff. Right. You should be just as responsible for doing. I know, but I'm saying we're not just about to give the OnlyFans girls a pass because there's other people doing worse stuff. There's no regulating kids going on the internet and saying that yes, they're 18 if they want to go and watch porn, bro.
I know.
There's nothing really regulating that.
Yeah, I know.
Whatever, except for parents.
Yeah.
So I'm saying, girls promoting this lifestyle like it's something to be, it's just all profitable, isn't the whole story, and you're marketing that to people. You're marketing that to a demographic of individuals who.
So honestly, I know what you think about that, David.
You're marketing it to all demographics of people. I'll say without any regulation of who that's supposed to be around.
So that's true, and I agree with you on that, Davian. But then the question can also go into something, for example, they're promoting a certain lifestyle that obviously can be detrimental, Davian. But you can make the same argument, for example, with rappers and and
absolutely
and all that they're pointing out. Like
absolutely,
dude, do you not remember Tekashi 6ix9ine and the shit that he was promoting? Mm-hmm. So it's like look at what that did.
Sure, so I don't disagree with you.
It wasn't regulated as much as it needed to be.
No, and it's still not regulated to this day. Where's Bond? People are still rapping about bull crap. People are still promoting bull crap, and people are still doing bull crap. Yes, and they're still doing it to this day. I absolutely agree with you. There's we have to be putting people who are setting better examples in the position to be teaching other people.
Well, Davian, I can
we have to stop giving platforms to people who don't deserve them, Randall.
I can agree with you on that, Davian, but at the same time, Davian, in my personal opinion, I agree that public figures do have a somewhat of a responsibility to the youth. I will agree with you, Davian, but at the same time, you also these kids typically also do have parents or typically have elders that can decide whether or not they can or cannot watch that. Like, for example, Tekashi 6ix9ine, I'm not against him necessarily doing what he's doing. It's more for me, I put more responsibility on the parents telling their kids, no, you're not watching this, you're not seeing this, you're not going to go out to his concert or go to his music video if he's opening it. No, you're not going to see that. Mm-hmm. Let that clown be a clown in a lonely circus.
Yes. I absolutely agree. These parents ain't shit.
Just say it out loud.
They ain't shit, yo. They really ain't. These parents ain't shit. They don't give a damn about their kids. What is going?
They're not watching.
They're gonna let their kids do whatever the hell they want. Because they was doing whatever the hell they wanted.
Because the problem with the idea of public figures having a complete responsibility for what young people are doing, Davian, that's also part of the problem, because there are some role models that are good, that are supposedly good role models for certain types of people, for example, versus people that are others. There are some celebrities that promote certain ideals that for example, conservative people don't like, and vice versa. Maybe even conservative public figures are promoting a thing that liberals don't like.
It's whatever. You cannot expect just because a girl grew up doing child acting and she was a star, when she was a kid, and everybody loved her and everybody loved all the stuff that she did when she was a kid, and you're trying to preserve this innocence. Doesn't mean that girl isn't going to grow up and become a woman
and be doing something like raunchy shit
and want to show herself and feel proud about herself growing into that part of being a woman. So you're not going to sit here and shame her for that transition in her life.
But then, and that also then drives me crazy.
Just because your children, because you can't have a conversation with your children about separating those two things.
Exactly, Davian. So this is where I'm going to ask this question, Davian. So the whole issue with the OnlyFans thing, I get that, Davian, but I want to ask a question. How different is that in comparison to young girls walking through a mall, walking past a Victoria's Secret store, or even going on IG and following like VS models, or even like like these glamour models or whatever it is that are promoting these makeup deals and stuff like that that are either using filters or fillers or whatever kind of surgery that they're doing, promoting that kind of image. How much different is that compared to an OnlyFans chick doing what she's doing versus an actual paid model modeling clothes or lingerie or modeling makeup or modeling or presenting even certain cosmetic procedures in order to encourage these young girls to actually start buying this shit. How much different is that versus a parent saying, no, you're not ready for that yet. No, you don't need to buy that. Well, or it's not for you. It's for it's not for children. It's for us as adults.
That's right. There is what the issue is that parents aren't having this conversation and children be in a child's place. Doesn't want to be too involved in what adults have.
And that is why I say, Davian, that it's not really my responsibility. Davian, I have a cannabis brand, right? It's not my job to filter.
No, at the end of the day, it will fall back on parents. Like sure, you can tailor your child's internet access to maybe be able to avoid them from typing in the word OnlyFans and getting access to whatever that has on their website,
or even drugs.
But even if your child walked past a Victoria's Secret or whatever, and your child
that is shaping her brain a little bit.
Sure, but your child is going to have questions just like they would have questions for anything else they would pursue.
And as a parent,
you should just be able. You should just answer that.
If that damn question, don't just take that
question.
Don't just take the question, and just shove it in a box because you don't want to answer because it makes you uncomfortable or because you're insecure.
That box is going to surface one way or another.
And if you suppress it, it's gonna manifest, and then
that child will go out to find that answer in their own ways. That's how children got to going on the internet and looking at porn in the first place, because their parents didn't talk to them about sex enough. So they had to go out and look for their own behalf, for their own examples.
Right. Exactly. That's what I'm trying to say, because I don't like how parents are like blaming public figures for like why their kids are behaving like that. Why are you not governing your kids?
Why do you not have any contribution or any input on
what your kids are doing, or what they're watching?
Like they live in your house. Why aren't you tailoring everything that's coming in front of them?
Exactly. Like, dude, your kid is 12 years old. Like, bro, why are you mad at what? Like, instead of getting mad at TV actors or movie stars for making whatever content they're making in their films or in their shows, why don't you as a parent say, "Oh no, you're not watching TV. Oh no, we don't have a TV in this house because I don't want my kids seeing these certain things." It's not their job to govern themselves and be like, "Oh, this is not appropriate. I'm not going to watch it." Anything your kid sees that attracts their attention, they're going to watch it regardless of what emotional or psychological impact it's going to have on them. David, I literally remember back when I was a kid, David. Do you know how unfiltered my mother was, David? And I mean, this might be like a minor thing. It wasn't even like that big of a deal. Davian, I remember vividly at like the age of like 5 or 6 years old, Davian. Do you know what movie me and my mother watched together because she thought it was funny?
What?
Austin Powers. Like the trilogy. We watched it together. Huh?
I love Austin Powers.
No, David, I do too, David. But like, obviously, it's not meant for a 6-year-old.
Right? No, I know.
My mother and I literally watched it together, and my mom was crying, laughing. I didn't know what I was looking at, but it was funny. But then as I got older, once I got to like my teen years, I was like, oh, it's a parody. It's supposed to be. It's like a raunchy,
it's
like
supposed to be this raunchy. It's supposed to be this.
Weird parody.
Yeah. Blatantly funny. It's supposed to be all of that.
Yeah, so like, you know what I mean. But I was a kid watching that with my mom for the most part, and she didn't care. You know what I mean? But it actually absolutely had a lot of inappropriate jokes and a lot of like sexual innuendos. But my mom, she thought it was funny. You know, it didn't fuck me up as a kid for the most part. Man, you don't use real garlic. You don't use real garlic.
I don't have the time to be chopping all the damn time.
David,
so I keep it minced in the refrigerator.
See, I can't agree with that. Anyway,
I keep it minced in the refrigerator.
But yeah, like that's what I really don't like. Because like,
I want to use
a
little bit of that.
And that's also why, like, you know, with social media, I really don't like how the algorithm is set up now, because it's not letting like creators who might be posting things that are a little controversial to post it freely and let their page grow, because they're trying to watch over the kids. Like, no. in social media, if we're gonna be being honest about this, Davey, it really should be just reserved for people 18 and up.
Yes.
And once you're 18 and up, if you can go to war, you should be allowed to see pretty much whatever graphics shit the world can possibly offer to show you, because we see it all the time on the news. So like, why can't that be the case? Like, I'm about to advocate for like, instead of like social media being available to kids at 16, raise it to 18, and then and basically allow anyone to promote like whatever they want to promote on there, and just leave it be. Just leave it be. Like,
I mean, they're already doing that to an extent, and even grown individuals are starting to have a problem with how openly inappropriate things can be. Like,
but what? Listen, Dave,
I'll give you an example.
What constitutes in your mind as being inappropriate? Because that's such a subjective idea for the most part. Because a lot of people can find even the most minor things to be extremely offensive or inappropriate.
So what I've been seeing is like a lot of people are selling like selling stuff on like TikTok, like, and specifically it might be like maybe bras or like certain lingerie.
And my question to you is even like, how realistically even like how or why is that inappropriate? Like there are stores that blatantly represent that.
I can understand that. I can understand that, and maybe because those are more intimate pieces of clothing, that's why they're relegated to spaces like that.
No, Davian. Like, I'm not referring to like spaces like that, Davian. I'm like, cause it's still in public view and it's still readily available. I just went to the mall a couple of days ago and I had to walk past again Victoria's Secret, and I'm seeing like all the different kinds of lingerie pieces and the multiple. I also did see multiple young children walk past it.
It's literally the demonstration of it. A mannequin is different than a grown, an actual woman sitting in front of you.
But you're still seeing something that is supposedly only reserved for adults.
A picture is still different than seeing a regular person.
David, I don't agree.
That is, absolutely.
I don't agree.
Absolutely.
No.
Randall, your reaction to seeing a picture of a naked lady is going to be different than you seeing a
David, she's not naked, David. She's wearing lingerie. Bro.
I'm telling you, your reaction is going to be different than seeing a picture than seeing an actual person in front of you.
Not necessarily, David, because nowadays, David, first of all, that's a lie anyway, David, because if that were true, men wouldn't do, Playboy magazine wouldn't exist for men just getting turned on by pictures. That's a prime example of what you're talking about, David.
Okay, now, how would a man react if he were to see a woman standing in front of him wearing the actual lingerie that he's seeing in the Playboy magazine?
It's going to be a different ballgame.
Exactly! That's what I'm telling you! A picture is different than an actual person in front of you.
David, I understand that, David, but like I'm still referring to like the degree of still seeing it in general, regardless if it's a mannequin or a person, a picture, a video.
That's what I'm saying. There's levels to this shit. There's levels to everything that you're going to be exposed to. It's different being exposed to seeing a mannequin at a store with lingerie in front of it because this is a store where they sell lingerie. Right. If I'm just scrolling on TikTok and somebody's selling me lingerie and they got their legs bust wide open like this, that's a little bit different, Randall. It's a little bit different.
Oh my god.
It's a little bit different. That's what people are doing on TikTok.
Okay. So you know
that's how they're advertising.
Okay,
lingerie.
so you left that out, Davian, because
I didn't get to that part.
I'm not on TikTok, Davian, so I didn't know that, Davian.
So TikTok, they're advertising lingerie by busting their shit open.
Okay, that's a whole different ballgame.
That's
a whole different ballgame.
Different
You didn't say that first.
I didn't get to that part because you were too busy trying to tell me that a picture and the person is someone's gonna have the same reaction seeing that. Like, no.
Some people do.
Well,
Davian, some people do. Some freak ass niggas would do, Davian.
But that's
some guys can't differentiate from seeing an actual video or a woman or a picture.
But that's why we have things relegated to different spaces, like a lingerie store inside a mall and then a strip joint.
But exactly, Davian.
Because children might see the mannequin in the thing and have questions, sure, or whatever. children are not going to be exposed to a strip club so they can ask me questions about the strip club. They should not be exposed to that.
Well, Davian. Well, no. I'm not disagreeing with you, Davian. But the funny thing about it is, the club that we've gone to, for example, that's down street in Boundbrook. Families and children do technically walk by that.
Sure,
and so a kid might see it and might ask a question.
That's not a problem. I don't think it's a problem for kids to be asking questions about the shit that they see. It's a problem when adults aren't answering their questions.
Or suppressing it.
And leaving it to come later, and then having your kid have to do their own research. Pretty much.
Right.
It falls down to adults.
Now, another question.
Literally.
Now, another question about that is, Davian, is that do you agree or disagree that there is an age range where a child should be allowed to ask questions that could be a little bit pushy because they really are reserved for adults? But then a parent should actually oblige them and answer the question, even if it isn't appropriate.
Nope.
Not at all?
I think at whatever age you start critically thinking, which I think we talked about in the last episode, which is like 9. 9-year-olds get to start asking questions.
So Davian, if you had a son or a daughter or that was 9 years old, 10 years old, and he or she says, "Daddy, what's a strip club?"
I would tell her what a strip club is, and I would tell her that it's not really, made for people your age. I will explain it to you what it is so that you can have that knowledge or whatever. And I would hope that you, wait until you are of age to go explore more about it yourself. If you have more questions, feel free to ask.
Right. You see, and that's a good parent, Davian, because a lot of parents just won't do that. If they hear that question, they'll get mad at the TV, or they'll get mad at somebody else.
What are you gonna do?
Or they'll even get mad at the kid. Actually,
what are you gonna do?
They'll get mad at them for asking the question.
What are you gonna do? This is we live in a world that has stuff in it. You can't protect your child from all the stuff in the world. So you might as well at least just tell them about it so that they know. And you can teach them how to protect themselves from it.
Right. Or at least just be aware of it for the most part.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's the same thing with with weed, for example, Davian. If I ever have a kid one day, and the moment my kid asks me hey Dad, what's that smell? Hey Dad, have you ever heard of cannabis? Have you ever heard of this and that? Davian, if my son is 5 asking me that question, I'm gonna educate him. I'm gonna tell him everything he needs to know. But I will tell him you're not ready for it yet because it's not for you.
Exactly.
It's for us.
Exactly.
When you turn 21, I'll do it with you.
Exactly. That is it.
Until you're 21, you're not gonna get access to that shit at all.
It. And I know we had this conversation before about trying to figure out how to think about a child's best behalf, even if you're not a parent yourself. All of this stuff is pretty much what you'll apply to when you get your own kids, type of thing.
Right.
I can't tell people how to do their own kids. I can only figure out how I'm gonna do mine when they get here. So.
Well, David. Well, then, let me ask you this then. Does that mean? How do you feel about people saying that if you're not a parent, you
don't get me wrong. I can understand the motivation behind No Child Left Behind, but fuck y'all kids. My kids ain't getting left behind. Y'all, I don't give a shit about.
So, Davian, here's a question. How do you feel about people saying that, if you don't have a kid, you should never voice your opinion about parenting at all? You can't have an opinion from a distance.
I used to be.
You can't watch how some parent raises their kid and say hey, maybe that's not a good idea, or maybe this might be a better way of looking at it. Could a person have knowledge about something without necessarily being directly involved in it?
Yeah, you've been a kid before, so you would know what it is to have that experience as a kid, to know what a kid might be feeling, But you don't know everybody's situation,
right?
So it's always best to come, into situations like that, knowing that you don't know everything.
But that also then can go into the conversation about like people voicing their opinions about like, for example, race. Like, you know, white people criticizing black people or telling black people what they should and shouldn't do, and then they'll throw it back in their face. It's like, well, I'm sorry, like, are you black? Have you ever been black? Like, have you ever lived in my community?
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's a good point. And it's the same thing the other way around. Black people telling white people what they should or shouldn't be doing, and then they go like, I'm sorry, like, are you white? What do you know?
Right.
What do you think you know about my life, my experiences?
It's not wrong.
Or my culture.
It's not wrong.
Not at all.
Not wrong. No, but I think along the same lines of like what we were just talking about with it's up to the parents to be teaching their kids, like as humans, knowing that we have differences in our cultures depending on where we come from in this earth, or you know, all the experiences that we have in life. Like, it's just best to want to teach and inform people in a way that so that they can understand and come up with a better informed opinion for themselves, rather than leaving them in ignorance so they can go off of stigmatisms.
Or go off of stereotypes.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
You know, we can all just do a better job at, you know, wanting to help each other.
Yeah, unfortunately, I mean, that, like, you know, with how human beings are, like, we don't tend to want to do that with other people. We only tend to want to do that with our people.
Yeah, and that's why I said F everybody else's kids, because it's only about mine. I get it. I get it.
Say fuck everybody else's
Fuck
kids.
everybody else's kids, you know.
Well, I mean, Dave, like, I don't think you mean that literally, but I mean, like, I think you mean it figuratively.
Nah, I mean it figuratively, maybe a little bit literally, you know, but.
So if another person's child like needed your help, would you be like fuck you?
Nah, I'm not like I said. It's not every. Like I said, I understand the motive behind No Child Left Behind, you know.
But I'm not worried about y'all kids.
But it's like,
I'm not worried about other people's kids.
I'm not worried about other people's kids, because it's like, if I'm working hard for my kids not to get left behind, and we're all moving forward, whatever, and I see your kid, and they over here getting left behind, like, I can only advocate for your kid so much, because you're not doing your job as the parent.
Right.
Your kid's not getting left behind because we're leaving your kid behind. No, you're leaving your kid behind.
Yeah.
You're leaving your kid behind and not preparing them for moving forward.
So you don't believe there really is no collective responsibility where, like, if you see a parent slacking off, like, you don't pick up that slack? It's like, no, like, you don't believe in that or agree with it? You can say you don't.
No, I don't. Because when is it your time to do some fucking work? You gonna sit here and slack off for years and years on end, got everybody else picking up your slack. When is it your turn to do some damn work for your kid?
What if they're an incompetent parent and they're like a...
Then you shouldn't have had that kid in the fucking first place.
What? So...
If you're an incompetent parent. What? We got... This is what I was talking about. That's what I'm talking about. If the shit was logical, we wouldn't be dealing with none of this shit. We're wrong. Incompetent parent. You think we about to just let you be lackluster forever? You better get your shit together.
So a parent is like a drug addict or like an alcoholic, and they're just like, they're always late for shit. They don't know what they're talking about, or let's say they have poor education.
You're gonna get your kids snatched from you. Word is born. CPS is on the way. Word is born. You ain't about to just be messing up forever. Like, because that's a part of the community collective. We're not about to let these children get left behind just because you don't want to do your job.
Right. That then goes into the conversation of, like, you know, whether or not, like, people really should be qualified by some, like, governing body about whether or not they're eligible enough to have kids, because based on their competency or their knowledge or their intelligence level or whatever the case may be. And that's where it can get dicey, because obviously if you have a governing body, they could be very biased, would be like, oh no, you can't have kids specifically for reasons that I don't like, versus like the objective like truth of whether or not you have the credentials to actually do what you're doing. If I just simply don't want you to have a kid, I can just decide you don't get to have one. You know what I mean? Would you ever like want to be in favor of that possibility? Like people going through like an evaluation where like they really get to, or like some governing body gets to determine, or even like a community or a church can decide whether or not a couple is eligible to have kids.
Well,
because
there has to
they can be trusted.
See, this is why I don't like talking about like tests or whatever and stuff like that, because understanding logic, there's things that you can do to test competency for certain things that you can have in your possession. Now, when it comes to building a council around that is where corruption starts to happen.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the issue is, and that's why I don't like having this
Well,
conversation.
that's where it gets to a game of like corruption and even like eugenics.
Yeah, that's why I don't like having this conversation, because that has nothing to do with making things work for the benefit of other people. That has to do with people's selfish agendas.
Yeah, and what they want to get done.
Yeah, and what they want to get done.
And
so
what
that's
they're,
why.
and what they're
That's
after.
why it's like I don't know.
No, yeah, that's fair, and I can agree with you, because like I can only imagine, like David, we already live in a situation where people can't do certain things based upon their income, let alone like their competency.
Yeah.
So you can only imagine like some governing body or a committee team deciding whether or not like you or me are eligible to actually reproduce. Because imagine they say no, like what are they going to do? Sterilize us?
Right. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like I don't. There's levels of competency that have nothing to do, especially when it comes to like reproduction. There's levels of competency that have nothing to do with your mental.
In what way?
Sometimes you can just do with your physicality. You know, what if you have some type of disability that you can be passing down to a kid? What if like your sperm count ain't got nothing to do with what's going on inside your head? You might be impotent. Where's mom?
But what does that have to do with like
That may have to do with your ability to have children, and how and whether you get the access to do that or not. You know, but that might not show up on your competency test. That's what I'm saying. You wouldn't be able to test for that, like you would be testing for everything else.
Well, I mean,
like,
you can't.
could.
I mean, low sperm count, like you can test for that.
Yeah, or you could, you know, but then that is, I guess that would be considered another.
Davian, real quick, like, pause a second, bro. Did you know?
I guess that would be considered another level of discrimination, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, Davian. Speaking of, like, you know, low key sucks, but like speaking of sperm, Davian, did you know apparently that in California they had apparently had like a sperm race?
A race?
Like apparently like guys like gave a sperm sample, and apparently like they actually like used it in like a race to see like which one's more quality, which one can swim the fastest. Some shit like that. Like they actually like did a test like this, and it was actually live in front of like 1,000 people or whatever the fuck.
I'm not gonna lie.
It was years ago.
I'm not gonna lie. Even though you started that sentence with like no gay shit, no homo, like talking about sperm, that shit sounds mad gay. The sperm race? Like a lie, that shit sounds.
I saw it on social media one time where like
sperm race sounds kind of gay, y'all.
like I saw it on my Explore page for some reason. Like apparently there was like it was an actual like race. Like they like gave samples and they wanted to see who could swim the fastest.
Kind of gay. Stay on, but.
They're trying to see the sperm quality. Damien, you know guys nowadays, Damien, are literally competing over like what their T levels are. Like I've seen a video where they're like competing with each other, going like, "Yo, like what's your T levels, bro?"
Like
and
levels.
Yeah, testosterone levels.
I know what he's referring to. I know what he's referring to. But
Someone would say like 540, and the other would say like 925, whatever it is.
guys are gay. You guys are gay. Where are your T levels at, bro? How big are your balls? Like, how much hair is on your chest, bro? Let me see. Like, you guys are gay. Like, go. I don't even want to say, like, it's worse than, like, touch grass. Like, go touch coochies. Like, it's gay.
Oh my god. You know, Davey, I low-key be thinking that, like, some of these guys on IG, Davey, and, like, they're always dumping on women, Davey. Do you ever think that, like, some of them might be in the closet?
You know, I saw a video about this subject as well. I feel like some men can be. Honestly, for some people, it's a. For some people, it's society. You know, they don't feel like they have places to be able to share this part of them, and they'll feel like they'll be ridiculed, stuff like that. You know, sometimes you'll be put into positions where, like, for instance, we joke about the booty guy from the Boondocks, or whatever.
Yeah.
That's not really what jail is like. Like, don't get me wrong, that shit happens in there, but it's like
it's not the typical.
No,
like guys get their ass beat in jail, but
yeah.
they'll be getting like they'll be getting their peanut butter taken.
Like that's like, and it can happen like that for some people, but it's like it's less of it being a product of jail, and more of it just being like that was just who you were already, and
it just came out,
and it just and you were in a place that made you susceptible to exposing that pretty much.
I actually saw a video.
And you found out what kind of man you were, whether you were going to fall for that or defend yourself against that.
I actually saw a video one time, kind of relating to that, where like some guy, like I think it was like an OG in jail or prison, and he was like. He grabbed like some new guy, I think he was like 22 or whatever it was, and he caught him apparently stealing. He caught him stealing apparently in his cell or whatever it was, and he made an announcement in like the main hall that this guy he stole from me. He's a thief. He's a thief.
Yes.
But he's a hoe now.
Yeah.
And he grabbed him and said, "Come on, in my room." Like, so apparently he did something.
That's crazy.
So apparently, I'm not saying it's like common down there, but like
that's like in there, it's like, don't get me wrong, it's not it's you. Don't get me wrong. The guy in jail, the big nigga in jail. No, I'll say it like this. The little nigga in jail getting his booty taken right now is just as gay as the big nigga taking booty right now.
Well, David, I don't think that's true, David, because like some guys don't want it, but like they just can't fight back hard enough.
Listen, Randall, there's no reason for that grown ass man to be wanting your booty in jail. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Just as bad as it is that you gave your shit up in jail, or you succumbed to the pressure in jail that made you give your booty up. That man not supposed to be wanting your booty either.
David, I don't think it has anything to do with like whether or not like you gave it up, David. Some of them are like trying to fight back, but they can't. Like they literally get their asses beat because they don't want to give it up.
That's what I'm saying. That man is not supposed to be wanting your booty that much.
So he's gay.
That nigga gay too. Yes.
Yeah, but the person that's being forced is not gay, David. He's a victim.
That's what I'm saying. We're not just about to. It's not always victim in here. Like, if I like.
You know what I mean? Like, I feel you.
I'll say it like this. Those people who are in a position of power know who they're preying upon, so they know that you're showing a level of weakness. Now, whether they can prey upon that to the point to where you gonna give your booty up or whatever is completely up to you.
See, David, I don't really understand what you mean by that, Davian, because like, what if the guy says, like, what if the guy's like, I'm not taking no for an answer, and like, going back to what that guy.
So you don't have to fight.
But what if you lose? Is what I'm saying. What if you lose? What if the guy does the thing from the Boondocks? You do it the easy way or the hard way, and let's say you do it the hard way and you lose.
Then the next time that shit happens to you, you better stab that nigga. The next time you
and then catch an extra 10 years of prison.
Sure, yes, absolutely, because that's going to be a tell of what kind of man you are. Are you going to be the kind of man who's going to let people keep doing that shit to you, or are you going to get back? That's what I'm saying. That part is not a part of that part is not a part of jail. That's a part of something else.
So what's a part of?
Niggas being gay. Niggas being gay.
And just allowing it to happen.
No, I'm saying, as a man, if you know that, I'm saying, if that happened to you, did you let it happen to you, or did you resist? And are you going to continue to let that happen to you again?
Right. Now, typically, I'm going to assume you're not going to let it happen to you again if it does, obviously. But that's also, unfortunately, like, psychologically, Davian, like, if that does happen to you, Davian, I think there's some evidence that, like, you just end up, like, conforming to it in some ways. Or, like, if it happens to you, Davian, like, it's like a trauma response.
Sure,
like,
I understand.
If it happens to you, like, you don't know how to deal with it.
I can understand that.
You just keep taking it.
I can understand that. I can understand also that there's a lot of things that you can do to prevent yourself from being in jail or prison as well.
Right.
Now, when you're in here, you have nothing but your word as a man to stand on and your actions. So, do with that what you will in prison.
So, David, what do you think? So, in terms of like the guys online, they're like going back to what we were talking about a while ago about the guys that are constantly dumping on girls like online, making fun of them and shit like that. I do low key think, Davian, and this might be controversial to say, Davian, I low key think that a secret threat or enemy of a lot of women, Davian, are actually gay dudes. I actually think that in some cases, like, you know, gay guys can actually be bigger threats to women sometimes than straight guys, because they oftentimes compete with them and they can say some pretty passive aggressively rude things and disrespectful things and like and actually like almost create like psychological warfare with them.
Yes and yes.
You know what I mean? To some degree. Like, cause one of my coworkers, you know, like he actually like he's
yes and yes, but they're not a big enough of a group to oppose women.
Right.
So.
Cause no, and the reason why I'm saying that, Damien, is because like I've seen.
They're not big enough of a group.
The reason why I'm saying, Damien, is because I did see an example of that at one of my other jobs before. I did see, like, you know, a gay man actually be a little bit of a bully to a woman for like no reason. And yeah, like it was a whole like conflict and shit. Like it got all the way up to the managers where like I think the dude actually like got suspended or fired or something. So that's what I mean. I'm only saying it from my experience and from what I've seen though. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
How'd the chili turn out?
Everything tastes great. I'm just trying to keep everything sticking to the bottom.
Hey David, why do you use plant-based meat?
Because this is for Yana, and she's a vegan.
Yana's David, do not tell me that.
Yana is a vegan.
Yana is a vegan?
She is a vegan.
Why?
She's a vegan.
That doesn't answer my question, David. Why?
This is a lifestyle that she chose. Probably she's probably been doing this for like a couple of years now.
Since you've been with her. Why would she become a vegan, David? Because you know that plant-based meat is not good for you, right?
Yeah, you're not gonna have the conversation with me about her choices. I don't give a shit. Whatever she wants to eat, she can eat. Like, yeah, no, I know. It probably started with like lactose for her, I know lactose would like excite her eczema.
Well, I mean, I'm lactose intolerant too.
Yeah, I know. She stopped with that first, and then it probably
cascaded.
And then it probably transitioned to like less meat, less red meat.
Dude, red meat is so good for you, bro. Red meat is so good for you. I don't know why people feel controversial about that.
She hasn't been eating seafood for like a month or two, but I think she may want to come back to seafood.
Does ever be a pescatarian or something?
She does like seafood. It's just she's just been trying it for a while.
But I mean, realistically, seafood is not even really that good either. Like with all the toxic bullshit that's in there.
Nope. I think you know what I think because if you listen to the internet, you ain't gonna be able to eat nothing.
Except ice.
I'll keep it like that.
Except
you keep
ice
listening to the internet about what is good for you and what ain't, you ain't gonna be able to eat nothing. So you might as well, honestly, just go and enjoy yourself. Go and enjoy yourself. Where's the bottom?
And I think we can wrap it up from there.
Yep. Where's the bottom? But you know what's going on. This was the cameraman in the building, Randall in the building. It's been Unpopular, and we will see y'all next time.